What is happening, everybody? I hope you've had a good...
Back in like 2005, something like that.
I think my first con was so good. It's Friday Junior.
It's Friday Junior, it's podcast day, it's payday.
And if you come out doing a like, doesn't matter how you feel about the situation.
My name is Raph. We're always start the podcast because we just want to talk about it. We want to talk about music and just share those stories and experience. This is my co-host Carl, aka the Beer Buddy. He is hailing you.
This sort of weird era where they're sort of right in that post-grunge.
Look, you're fighting the good fight in today's world. My war was fought 40 years ago, really.
We are the two dudes who talk music, and we are here. Hey, I'm too quick on that air horn button, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, that is amazing. I love it. You're second on the dude. Fantastic. What is going on, everybody? Beer Buddy here. Unfortunately, Raph could not join us this evening. He's feeling a little bit under the weather after catching something at Mudvayne. He probably caught some awesome, but I don't think he did because he doesn't sound very awesome. Oh, I hope you're all doing well for your Thursday evening, or aka Friday Junior. Now, let's get some housekeeping in order. Let's see if I can do this just as good as Raph. Okay. Now, if you do know... Oh, I don't know why that thing's going off. I'm about to turn it off. But yeah. Okay. Now, if you haven't seen, Raph and I do some great stuff over at Metal Ruse. We do metal reaction videos. So if you like your metal reaction videos, your metal news, your metal reviews, all that cool stuff, all the info, all the what's going on in Australian heavy metal at the moment, go get your heavy metal news from the Heavy Metal Ruse. I hope you did that okay, Raph. But yeah, today we have a very special guest on. These guys have been very, very busy. I was fortunate enough to see these absolute legends at Ram It Down Fest. I think it was number 4 or 3. Either way, these guys were a standout. These guys sat right in the pocket for me. They are like new metal-y, metalcore. I don't know. It's just really, really good stuff. They hit it hard, they hit it well. So, without any mucking around tonight, let's get into it. Please welcome to the podcast tonight, Nolan from WHISPERHEAD. How you going, dude?
Very well, thanks, man. How about you?
Oh, fantastic, man. If you haven't noticed, we just have Nolan on audio tonight, so we have a lovely picture of him there. So it'll just be me on my funny head moving around, and Nolan will just be talking. So that's all good for this week. But yeah, Nolan, great to see you again. You got in contact with us. We're gonna actually have another chat with Nolan a bit later on in the month. But yeah, we wanted to talk about WHISPERHEAD because these guys have been absolutely busy. How's it all been going, man?
Yeah, man. Really, really well. We're extremely humbled and thrilled with everything that we've had the opportunity to do. I think it's safe to say, if I could speak on behalf of everyone in the band, that when we started it just under 2 years ago, I don't think we ever thought in a million years we would get to do some of the cool stuff we've been doing. So,
damn, man, 2 years.
Yeah. So our first show was with Terra Mortem and Red B in Bathurst on the 30th of April 2022. So we haven't quite hit the 2-year anniversary yet.
You know what's funny? One of my first show was with Red B as well.
There you go. Yeah.
It was a long time ago though, so that's awesome to see that they're still hitting such big impact on the local scene.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was.
And then I saw you guys. I saw you ram it down, and you guys tore it up.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, yep. Always love getting down to Sydney and playing down there.
Well, we love having you. And you guys got a show in the VO coming up soon, or is that?
We
happening?
do. Yes. So Nouveau are playing at the festival that we run out here in Dubbo. So once a year, or this is only the second year, we run a festival creatively titled WhisperFest.
Nice.
And one of the things that we really love doing about it is being able to bring out, it's a combination of basically bringing out bands that we know we know James from Nouveau.
Yeah.
And, we've had a bit of a relationship with him for a while. So just being able to bring out to Dubbo bands that are really, top notch, good, solid bands that otherwise mightn't have the chance to get out here. And the other thing is that bands that we really have developed, a relationship with. So, most of the bands that are on this year, we've got Carnal Viscera headlining, and Tom and Grindhead have been huge supporters of ours.
Nice. Yeah, good Tomo.
Tellurian are coming out. We've played a couple of those shows. Played a couple of shows with those guys, and they've blown us away. None for One from Wollongong, who we've done a handful with and helped us organise our trauma tour. A couple of local and regional bands, including Terra Mortem, who we played our first show with. So there's it's not just a bring in whoever, and we don't have applications. We actually curate and invite people specifically that we have a relationship with.
That's a fantastic idea. I've known James Barnes for a long time too. Funnily enough, I used to play shows back in the day with him as well. When was kicking around back then, he was like, we both lived out of Penrith, and there was that was like a little group of us that used to get around and do shows together. Like, once again, awesome to see that they're still getting around and kicking ass, man. Like, and you couldn't be in bad company. How are you finding though being in Dubbo? Because just what you spat off there, you do that's some work, man. Like, that's some work. How are you? Because I've always said, like, if you're going to conquer Australia, you got to conquer the regions.
Yeah, well, I think that's funny. Everyone that is out in the regions probably has the attitude that unless you break the metro areas, you don't have a hope in hell of getting anywhere. So I don't know if it's partly that the grass is greener on the other side, but it's also interesting that in their early days, like, we've had North Lane come and play at Dubbo, and that was before I lived here, so I didn't see. But like, I'm talking early days. Someone was telling me the other day Parkway Drive played here, like, when they first were getting started. So it's interesting that even big bands, have had in their early days, didn't forsake going regionally.
No, that's how they conquered Australia. Then they conquered the world. North Lane are my prime example that I use all the time as far as what their work ethic and what they did was. I don't want to offend anyone. I think it's more so like when the country starts making noise, the city goes, "You're not getting on top of this before we are."
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think I know anyone that's in any band, and this isn't even specific to metal. In the Central West, the feeling is that the key to breaking big, and when I say big, I'm not even talking North Lane level. I just mean,
sustainable.
Basically, yep. Is to be present and to be playing gigs in metro areas. It's kind of considered a I guess almost a rite of passage, or like a stat. Like, if you haven't played shows in Sydney, you haven't really made it.
Okay.
So so we have been thrilled to, which is where I think you might have been going. Yeah, we've been able to play in Canberra a bunch of times, Wollongong a handful, Sydney, South and North Sydney a few times, Newcastle a few times. We've been up to Port Macquarie, and when we were talking to the guys about stepping in for 12 gauge Rampage, obviously. This weekend, there was talk about, like, it's a long way to come for you guys, but like a 5-hour drive to play anywhere is just standard now. Like, if we want to play in a metro area, we have to it's 5 hours to Canberra, it's 5 hours to Sydney, it's 5 hours to Newcastle. Like, it's just,
well, at least consistent.
That's right. Yeah. So it's just the nature of it.
Yeah. Have you guys made your way up to Queensland yet?
No, but we're doing that very soon. So our first show will be in Brisbane with Vault Hill, Adriatic, and Illusionary.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, so we had a couple of invites to go to Brisbane, but it is a long way. It's about 12 hours to drive up there. So we were sort of waiting for the right opportunity, and we felt this one was going to be the right opportunity. So so that's in about 3 weeks.
Fucking awesome. That's so good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Because, have you heard of a band called Disgust?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I see their name around a lot.
Get into them. Because I have a feeling they might be watching you.
Oh, you reckon?
I hope so. They'd be silly if they don't. You guys, like, I'd love to see you guys on the same set.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we
I'd love
definitely
to
have
see you guys
seen
on the same set.
their name pop up on a lot of. You see them a lot on festival bills and
Yeah.
headlining local and regional shows. In their area. So yes, it's certainly someone that's on our radar as
Yeah, good.
To play with one day.
Good. I might have to make the drive out to Dubbo if you ever get them to play out there one day.
Okay, noted. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. With like organising the festival with Whisperhead, like Whisperfest and stuff like that.
Yep.
What's the sort of like catchment? I know this is obviously sounds really silly because you guys live like 5 hours out of Sydney.
Yep.
So do you find a lot of people from sort of smaller towns around the area really make the effort to come out to these sort of things?
Well, we've only done it once, so it's really hard to judge because there's not much of a sample size there. When we did it last year, there certainly were people from Orange and Bathurst, which would be like our next closest sort of. Then I don't Sydney people would not consider them metro areas, but they're sizable regional cities. I'm not sure exactly where everybody came from, but in terms of the smaller villages that are dotted around. But to be fair, I think our advertising was very centered on Dubbo. And also the lineup in the end happened to be bands that were like Dubbo. I'm going to forget people here, but it was like Dubbo, Red Bee headlined. We had a couple from like Blue Mountains, Lithgow area, so like Celestial Oath came up, Norgram came up. Both of them were fantastic. We had a band called The Nameless from Coffs Harbour, who I would recommend anyone not familiar with them definitely check them out.
Yeah, nice.
They're young guys, really, really keen and hungry, bring some strong Lorna Shore type of vibes.
Ooh.
And they drove all the way down. The first time we played with them was in Bathurst, and they drove all the way down from Coffs Harbour to play at it, and we were so impressed we invited them back down to Dubbo to play at Whisperfest. But so to answer your question, I'm not really sure how wide that the catchment size is. Obviously, the hope is that as it continues, if we can continue to bring out excellent bands and build a name for the festival, that it might become something where people go, actually, this might be worth the drive out for, and come out from surrounding areas. But we'll have to wait and see what happens this year, because the bands we've got are from a broader region. So whereas last year it was basically all sort of between Dubbo and the Blue Mountains, with the exception of the Nameless, this year it's like Wollongong, Newcastle, Sydney bands. So bringing them in from further away.
Oh, I mean, you guys are very busy over the you guys got up until at least April announced. You got Caesar's Bar, Fortitude Valley, the 15th of the 3rd. You got the Cabin Collective in Maitland, 16th of the 3rd. You got Elton Chong's, which, mate, you're going to be seeing my grubby head at. 17th of the 3rd. I'm definitely going to be there. I love Elton Chong's, far out. You got the Vic in Orange on the 6th of April, and then you got Whisperfest in Dubbo.
Yeah,
on the 20th of the 4th.
Orange show should be great. Deprivation headlining that, and we're playing with mates of ours. So Infested Entrails, who we've played with a bunch of times, and Stone Sovereign, who I have seen them a couple of times. I think we've only shared a bill with them once, but we've got a couple of shows with them coming up. The second one has not yet been announced. So we've got a busy little March and April, and not everything has actually been announced yet.
Far out. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at this Whisperfest. Okay, I love the artwork for this, by the way. So
thanks. That was done by our drummer.
That is awesome.
Shout out to Dylan. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So $35 a ticket. It's at the Old Bank Restaurant and Bar. Sorry, 32 Macquarie Street, Dubbo. And so we got Whisperhead Nouveau. You got Tellurian.
Yep.
None for One, Terra Mortem, and Killing Time. And the headline act is Carnal Viscera.
Yeah.
Wow. Far out, that's stacked.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, man. We're excited to bring bring some of these excellent bands into Dubbo and introduce them to Dubbo people. Yeah, look, the venue's not too big. You know, the capacity of the room's only about 100, but you know that's about the number we expect to get at the festival. So it's a small room, but it's packed. It's a great energy in there.
That's what you want, man. If the vibe's right, it doesn't matter. You could have 50, you can have 100. If it's kicking, it's kicking.
Yep.
That is so good, man. That is so good. Far out. And you got the New South Wales government backing on there as well.
Yeah, so I'm this is a bit of a segue, but if you'll indulge me, I'm a member
100%.
I'm a member of a community group called SOMAD, which stands for the Songwriters and Original Musicians Association of Dubbo. It's a committee made up of local original musicians from all sorts of genres. So there are dudes there that are, or men and women, who are involved in like indie rock or like just solo acoustic, like blues rock bands, electronic duos. There's quite a range of genres. And we all work together to advocate and facilitate the original music scene in Dubbo. So through that organisation, or through that association, we are able to apply for state and local government funding. We're not always successful. There are lots of grants we apply for that we don't get, but when we do get them, we're the reason they exist is to help feed basically partially the economy, but also to support local original music. So with that, the committee puts on a family-focused festival, which is usually more sort of got it'll have rock bands and solo acoustic bands. It has some country or has some folk. It's definitely not a metal festival. We run that every year, and we've been doing that for 5 years now. And we also run monthly shows in Dubbo, anything between solo acoustic guys in theatres all the way through to metal festivals. And we can use that financial support. Everything is still ticketed, of course, as well, but it just helps us to be able to make sure that we can pay the bands decently. It helps us to make sure that we can pay sound techs, appropriate rates. It goes towards things like PA hire and marketing and stuff. So,
wow, Jesus, what a good initiative!
Yeah, it's been great. Yep.
Jeez, come to think of it, because there'd be a massive, I don't want to say it's a problem, but yes, it is a problem, but there'd be a massive issue with cover bands and shit going through there all the time, because that's all people would want to see.
Yeah, well, cover bands don't really come through, but there are a lot of local cover artists, and they do what they do. That's not for me. That's fine, but it's probably safe to say that without SOMAD's existence and without the funding that they're able to secure, the local original music scene would be in far greater trouble. I mean, the only reason we're really able to even run Whisperfest is due to access to funding. It's just a safety net.
Jeez.
We go in.
Also, you got to go and look there over in Dubbo. Jeez.
Yeah, well, there's still lots to do, but it certainly helps to be aware that funding is available and to be able to occasionally be successful in securing it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, look, and you're spreading the love too. You make the effort of, I mean, yes, you curate your festival to your liking, and so you should. It's your festival, and if chances are, if you like it, everyone that you know is going to like it in some weird, sensible way, in one way or another. But yeah, I mean, the whole government funding thing, that's fantastic. That is so good to hear that's kicking along so well over there.
It probably helps that we're a regional area, so there is funding to support regional artists, but to my knowledge, that funding through Music New South Wales or Create New South Wales is available. Really, it's out there. The grant writing is a bit of an art form, but yes, it certainly makes. Especially, I feel like at the moment you see a lot of festivals, sadly, taking breaks for a year or going under because they're just not getting the sales that they need, and it just provides us with a it's not a free pass. People still have to pay tickets. Nothing's.
No, but it secures it. You're not
granted.
hemorrhaging money out of your own pocket.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just a safety net. that allows us to run it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you, and the one thing that you said that was just so right there in every single way is that everyone else you were talking about was getting paid before yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. So
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
I mean,
that's a great.
one of the real tenets or values of the SOMAD organization is that original artists must absolutely be paid for their work. And so the original artists are always paid, but often, and I don't know if I'm revealing too much here. I don't think it's any secret, but often the grant money will be used to secure things like PA hire, venue hire, marketing budgets, those hard costs that have to happen, and then the bands are able to basically just take the tickets, which means the more promotion they do and the more heads through the door, that's money directly in their pockets, basically.
Yeah, man, like it makes sense.
Mm.
Makes sense. Like, and that's the way it should probably be for a lot of things. But you know, the music industry or the art industry in general is just one of those harsh mistresses.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And like we say here at nauseum, you know, if you ever want to find a group of musicians that are more pure than anyone else, it's Australian metal musicians, because we play in a country of 24 million people and we're so spread out, and metal isn't the most popular music anymore.
No.
So it's just an uphill battle every time. So the dedication is so 100% real.
Mm.
Man.
Yeah.
Where did you guys record at? Because I was and I'm, you know, like going through the stuff. Looks like you guys work off a waterfall release system.
I beg your pardon. We run. I'm not familiar with that term.
Okay. So you sort of just bring out singles.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So so there was a couple of questions in there. Where do you want me to start?
Start off with where you recorded, please, because I've got to say
Okay.
the production value is just fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'm sure our production people will be very thrilled to hear that, and I appreciate that. There's a couple of different places. We have been experimenting with finding someone that we've just moved around to keep seeing what's out there, really.
Mm-hmm.
So our first couple of songs were recorded almost, so when I say first couple, I mean Swallow You, which was actually recorded and released prior to there being any band members. It was just a off the cuff release that I had written and recorded without there being any band. It was recorded at home and at friend's house here in Dubbo, and then it was mixed. Let me get this right. It was mixed by Ryan Cramp at Tiger Moth Studios.
Yeah.
I have sadly, he may have mastered that one. And then Paranoia and Black Lace were both recorded at home and mixed again by Ryan at Tiger Moth. And the guy that mastered it probably will kill me, but I have forgotten who it was. And then the latest two.
Black Lace and HFTC.
Yeah. Black Lace was done with Ryan. So, Hang from the Ceiling, which is the song's actual name, but we got pinged by social media for so we had to shorten that on all of our stuff. It was done. Recorded here in Dubbo. Troy, our guitarist, has a home studio set up. We recorded it at home. It was mixed by Dr. Mike Trevetskov down in Melbourne, and he mastered that one as well. And our upcoming single, which hasn't been announced yet, but is due out almost exactly in 4 weeks. It's been announced now, yep. It was also done by Dr. Mike as well. So,
he's good. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, so once again, having access to a home studio and someone that knows how to use it is extremely. Not everyone has that access, and it's not something we take for granted. But it certainly keeps the costs of recording down. It means that we can sort of do it at our leisure, which is why the songs have just come out. I'd be happy to and would like to talk more about that in a second. It just as I said, keeps the costs down.
That's what it's all about.
Production. I beg your pardon.
That's what it's all about. You got to keep the costs down. It's got to be.
Yeah, well, if we want to release songs in a sustainable manner, they can't be costing us 10 grand a pop.
Nah, or
Um,
even $1,000 a pop.
Yeah, currently we're probably running close to $1,000 per
Yeah.
song.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so by the time we get the mixing and mastering done, get the artwork done,
true.
the promotion costs, we're probably running at about 800 to maybe 1,000. That includes distribution and everything. So yeah, it's probably about that.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, and so yeah, in terms of the waterfall, there was just a sense that as a small unknown band that did not have a fan base, if we release one song and share it on social media for people to listen to, maybe 5 people will like it and give it a listen. We also felt that if you spend 6 times as much and all the effort and stress and creative pressure and everything to do a whole EP without an existing fan base, we suspect you still only get 5 people like it. So in us, it's sort of a way of, I guess, milking that social media presence and the sense that something is always going on with the band and that there's always something about to be coming out. And by just dropping them one at a time periodically, to be honest, we'd probably like it if it was a little bit faster than it is. But I think there's a strong sense within the band. There's probably 2 camps. There's a part of us that feels like how cool it would be to just spend 3 months focused on a body of work, write a bunch of songs. That's a picture of the band at that particular moment in time. This is where we're at, what are our influences, so on and so forth. But probably the business side of us feels that it makes far more sense to just be dropping them. I think we'd like to maybe be doing 3 or 4 a year ultimately, spread
That's
out.
the best way to do it. It's the best way to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to play in the algorithm, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pain. Yeah, it is 100%.
Yeah, it's a shame that the artist in us feels like we're just coughing up songs for the masses instead of doing it the way we'd maybe like to be doing it. But I have seen so many people who have poured their heart and soul and money and time into full albums, that then just aren't able to follow that up with live shows, or they're not, it burns them and they don't continue. I've seen bands break up over the pressure that it's caused. I think for us, there were lots of reasons to just go, let's just release one now and see what happens. And then, oh, well, we've got another couple that we like. Maybe we'll do them now. And yeah, so probably for the foreseeable future, I think that'll be how we continue to operate.
It's the best way to do it at the moment. I mean, and you've hit the nail on the head. If you don't have a fan base, who are you releasing an album for?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And look, I when I was doing the music thing, like when I was singing in a band, all I ever wanted to do was do 12 tracks. Do you know what I mean? Do a whole album.
Yep.
But it's not sustainable. It's 12 grand. Just like 30 grand straight off the bat. Anywhere between, and then it's the time you got to take from work to go write that album. And if you're just a starting band, that first album is your whole set.
Yep, I know lots of dudes that want to do an album because they love the idea of the way it sounds. They want to be able to say, look back on their life and go, release an album. Completely respect that. Completely respect that. But the other thing is that the first time we recorded, we learned a bunch of lessons, and I'm even talking prior to Whisperhead when we individually, in other bands. There's a bit of experience that is required to get the best result out of the recording studio, and I'm certainly not suggesting that we have hit the epitome of recording expertise, but I worry when you see bands that have not recorded yet and they go in to do full EPs and albums, and I just think, man, you're going to learn so much from this first song, but instead of learning from one song and then applying it to the second, you're going to be learning off 6 songs or 7 songs, and you'll have a whole product that maybe you'll look back on in the future and go, well, that could have been better. Maybe if we'd just done 1 or 2 to test the waters, we could have implemented the things we learnt
And it's even like if you like the producer or not, the guy that recorded the
Yeah.
recording studio. It's even little things
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
You know, like we got very late, or the first time we recorded it was adequate. I'm not going to say it was bad, but we got the apprentice of the studio. I'm not going to mention
Yep.
the studio because they're an absolutely great studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want anyone to think that, yeah. But the second time we recorded with Freefall Studio, and my lord, we had learned so much from that first EP.
Yeah.
And then when we went and done the second one, we learned even more. But
Yep.
we were so much happier with the end product.
Yeah, totally agree. I really think if anyone out there is listening and considering recording, I would absolutely recommend just doing 1 or 2 songs to begin with. And even if you don't release them, like at least just do it for the experience, because you do learn so much. It's a steep learning curve. Yeah.
It is. It's a heaps different game when you got someone that you've paid.
Yeah.
You've sent them tracks, and then they because this is what basically happens. If you do you record, I guess if you do it the correct way, and I'm using like very inverted commas here, you're meant to do pre-production. So you go and you record your tracks, and you send them to your recording engineer or slash producer, and then they come back with you. It's like, I want you to do a couple of things different here, and here before you come into the studio. It's going to save time. And then when you go in there, the 4 songs that you had are not the 4 songs that you walk out with. They're completely different because certain parts work better here, and you're not thinking about the writing process, and you listen to the person that you're paying because they record bands all day, every day. And then they're still your songs, but so much has changed, and it makes you think so much different to even the way you write songs going further down the track.
Yeah. Yeah, it's being able to write a song and having a producer, they're not exactly the same skill sets. And it's perhaps a little presumptuous to think that all of us that write songs also can view those songs objectively from the point of view of someone that is a producer. It hurts our egos as artists to have to hand our little babies over and go, well, chop this up. What sucks, what's good, what's not working. How could it's impossible for us to admit or imagine that anyone could make it better. That's their job, and I think it's a different skill set, totally worth having someone work with you.
Well, it's a massive thing when a good producer will rip the ego straight out of a musician so quick.
Yeah.
So quick. It'll make your head spin. Especially when you sit there and you're like, please don't take out my favorite bit. Please don't take out my favorite bit. And then they take out your favorite bit and you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
I spent so much time on that and it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the game. That's the fun of the game, though. Like, if you really want to you want to be a musician, that's the game.
Yeah, that's right. And once again, I mean, there are dudes out there, I'm sure, who just view what they write as their art and no one touches it, and I'm going to release it, and too bad if you don't like it. And once again, like, if that's your what you want to do, and you're happy with then that the result of that might be that you don't get a very wide audience, then that's totally cool. But I think that you will find that any of the metal bands or any bands that have made it to perhaps at least a professional level status, this is what they'd be doing.
Yep.
They'd be using producers. They'd have people being honest, like, about cutting their songs up, all this stuff. So, especially, I think, and I don't want to offend anyone here saying this, but I think in there's certainly can be a bit of an attitude in the metal world where, like, if it hasn't been recorded on a 4-track in someone's tin garage, it's not real metal. But I dare say you would not find that attitude in any of the professional metal bands.
Oh my Lord, geez, I don't think. You know what the funny thing is? Anyone that says that probably doesn't realise that they made it sound like that in post.
well, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's the funniest thing. It's like, look how shit this recording is. Yeah, it was intentional.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. And not everyone wants to. That's being professional musos or a recognizable name or whatever. Like that's not everyone's goal, so that's fine. Like if
yeah,
that's not your goal, that's fine. But I think there's a set if you want to be invited to play at festivals, or you want to be, like this dream that most of us probably share of having some level of recognition of our music, then there has to be a sense of professionalism that goes along
yeah.
with that.
I'd put it to you to say that any musician that says they don't want to play on the big festival, the big stage, is a motherfucking liar.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with Yep.
I'm sorry,
Yep.
man. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
I could walk up to any busker on the street or any of the most hardcore underground muso and go, "Hey, man, you want to play Wacken?" And they'd just be like, "Yes."
Yep. That's right. Yep. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, and that's the thing. Like, yo, nobody. Oh yeah, I don't know. I think I saw something on it today. It was weird. It was like, oh, I think I said it on the other podcast. It was I can't remember what producer it was, but it was Pharrell Williams' story
Oh,
where
okay. Yep.
this guy goes to him, "Oh, you got to make house music." And then Pharrell's like, "No, I don't make house music." He goes, "No. You got to make music that's going to buy you a house."
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
And yeah, that was just his mindset. But man, let's get into I'm enjoying this, but let's get into this let's get into one of these little segments. We're going to get into our first segment.
Sure.
I'm going to hit my little cutaway and we are going to get into this.
Okay.
That you had you could
Quick question
you do,
quarter.
you want you could do so you
All right, everyone. That's right. It's time for the quick question quarter, spelt with Q's, not K's, because we don't roll that way. That's right, Raph. I'm doing it now. My show. All right. So, if any of you have seen this segment before, this is a segment where we get to know our fellow musician a little bit better, dive deep into their psyche, find out what makes them tick, find out where they came from. Some good questions. They'll start off easier and they'll get harder as they go along. So let's get into this first one. What was the first instrument you ever learnt?
The first instrument I ever learnt was bass guitar.
Oh, nice. Raph would have been happy with that, fellow bassist.
Yeah. Played
nice.
that. A couple of years, and then moved on to drums, and that's probably where my great love is.
Very nice. Very nice. What was the first album you ever purchased?
The first album I ever bought with my own money was The Living Ends self-titled first album, which I still think is an absolute banger. I was listening to it just last week. God, it's good.
Man, the nostalgia. Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. And an Aussie one too. That's so good.
Yeah.
First live concert.
Look, I don't remember the names of the bands of the first shows that I went to. Like when I was young, they would have just, I don't know. But the first proper band that I saw live would have been 9 Inch Nails in Brisbane at the River Stage. I'm a huge 9 Inch Nails show.
That is a
fan.
first. That is a first. I don't think anyone said 9 Inch Nails. We've been doing this for 2 years, and I don't think anyone said 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, I love 9 Inch Nails.
Nice. Trent's a bro.
Like when I was younger, I know this is meant to be quick, but like I didn't go to that many shows because I didn't want to be around large groups of people really. But I love 9 Inch Nails, and when they announced they were coming to Australia, I was like, I am not missing this. So they were really the first like decent, not decent in quality, but like proper band.
Yeah, mainstream big band.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't had the opportunity?
I'm gonna say clarinet, and I know that's a weird one, but I picked it up. I picked it up for about 4 weeks in grade 6, and always wished that I had stuck with it. Still wouldn't mind one day purchasing one and learning it. Yeah, I think they just have this nice melancholy tone. It's not bright like the brass instruments, and you just don't hear them around much. I think it'll just be a cool. Yeah, and they're black, so they're cool.
Yes, clarinet solo. Let's go.
I don't know. I remember watching. I think it was Good News Week, and they had the house band, the name of which I don't remember, and they were playing a cover on the TV one night, and
Jesus.
the lead singer. Yeah, this is the memory that's burned in my brain. The lead singer was singing, obviously, and then there was an instrumental section. He whipped out this clarinet. It just sounded beautiful. Yeah.
Wasn't that
Yep.
the comedian that used to run it?
I think Paul McDermott was the host. I don't think he was the guy in the house. I think he would sing with them occasionally. But
Okay.
yeah, they had a house band, and look, my memory could be not accurate, but
To be
it's just
fair,
always stuck.
just going to throw this out there. Paul McDermott is the Kmart Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, the $2. Still, full respect to him. Yeah, $2.
Love him to death, but yeah.
Yeah.
You're the Kmart Neil Patrick Harris, bud.
This is getting less and less metal as the questions go on, but
No, we're the two dudes
yeah.
that talk music. It's all good. It's all good. It's all about everything.
Yeah.
That's a good one. If you could pick one big band or artist to open a show for, who would it be? I think I know who you're going to say.
It's tricky because yes, Nine Inch Nails is perhaps the obvious one.
Yeah.
But I mean, imagine opening for Slipknot.
Oh yeah, true.
And my other big one would be Deftones. So I don't. Yeah, but
I love the Deftones. I'm a massive
Yeah.
fan. There's no such thing as a bad Deftones album. There are just some less better than others.
yeah, I even think Ohms, which is their most recent one, I think is just banger from beginning to end. Most of the
Yeah.
guys in Whisperhead are big Deftones fans.
That is awesome. I love every single bit of that. Just to be fair, how much of a masterpiece was Diamond Eyes?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, yes.
I still
Yeah,
listen to
they're
that on
all-
the regular.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
still listen that one and probably White Pony.
Yep.
Are my really go-tos on probably like a monthly basis. So I have withdrawals if I don't listen to them.
Yeah, I feel like, and I probably will get hated for this, but the first two albums, which both had amazing songs, like the production still feels very early 90s, which many people would love and be okay with, but I think I favour their later albums because I feel like they sound a bit better.
No,
Anyway,
completely agree. No, completely agree.
Sorry, everyone. Yeah.
No, look, but at the end of the day, what's the best way to describe it? They have moved with the times so well with their sound, and if anything, the production value that has come along with it and their growth as writers has sort of gone along at the same time.
Yeah.
Because when they were doing like those first two albums, they were dirty, they were grungy, there was a lot of distortion on Chino's voice. It was just mayhem. But as they've sort of grown and the sound's gotten better with their production and stuff like that, they've really filled out the space well.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love them. I want Cheetos babies. If I could have the surgery, I'd have Cheetos babies.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm obsessed. It's unhealthy. Who is an artist you have been listening to that you believe is seriously underrated?
Yep, okay. I have an answer for this. An artist that I love that I feel like no one has ever heard of is King 810.
King 810. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, they're a I don't even really know how to describe them. They are a metal band, but they probably have just as many quiet introspective songs as they have loud aggressive ones. They're certainly not metalcore or thrash or grindcore or anything like this. That the songs are heavy, but they're probably almost closer to doom, but they're not doom. But they're a band of guys. They are from are they from Detroit? I think they're from. I should look this up. But like where they're from is extremely like it's in America, but the poverty level is insane. And all their songs are about like gang violence and killing people and getting stabbed and blah blah blah. And when you first hear it, you think Flint, Michigan, not Detroit. Flint. When you first hear it, you think these guys are trying a bit hard to be tough. Like whatever, stabbing people, and then like you look at where they're from and their experiences, and they're not making it up, like, and so it really does bleed through to the music. Like, it's aggressive because of what they're saying. The lead singer has a very distinct writing style, which it seems at first to be a little bit like almost a little bit basic, but it's also extremely poetic. Yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't be for everyone, but they're an artist that I do listen to a lot that I feel like no one has heard of. And yeah, if anyone's listening, at least I would recommend Vendettas by King 810 or Wartime. Neither of which are songs I think they've actually released in terms of singles, but that would give you a good sense of their heaviness and aggressiveness. Yeah, and man, if
Oh,
anyone ever
wow.
brought them to Australia, I would be selling my kidneys to open for them. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Far out. King 810. Go check him out. I know I will be. What is something people may be surprised to learn about you?
Oh. Well, prior to Whisperhead, I was in a synthwave duo. That was my previous
A
project.
duo.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
So I don't know if that's interesting to anyone. But
Synthwave.
yeah.
Okay.
So we were talking about Chino Moreno earlier. His side project Crosses.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It probably would be like modern synthwave. Synthwave was mostly big in the 80s. It's a lot of synths, obviously, a lot of sampled drums, very melodic. So synthwave bands would also be like yep.
Fair enough. I love Crosses. The last album
Yeah.
was Chino can do no wrong.
Yeah, he can't do any. No, I actually think their first album was perhaps better, but it was it was bangers from start to finish, and
this one was so different.
Yes, yeah, agreed. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Probably no one cares about that, but
No. Far out. What's your worst music sin?
my worst music sin. What do you mean by that?
So, like, what are you guilty for maybe slacking off in the band or?
Oh,
Yeah.
I have been known to perform songs live without actually having finished the lyrics.
Ooh.
It doesn't happen currently, but for our first few shows, there would have been 2 or 3 songs that did not have full lyrics finished, and I was just blurting out whatever I came up with on the spot on stage, which, sounds kind of like, oh, that's really like cool. You're just feeling whatever you're feeling, but honestly, it didn't make sense. It was just blurting out nonsense.
Yeah, just scream really low and no one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, you admitted it.
Yeah. But very soon after, I was like, man, if anyone else in the band rocked up and was like, I don't know what I'm going to play at this part, I'll just make it up. Like, I'd be kicking on. Like, be better. Be better.
Be the change you want to see.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty unprofessional and kind of lazy.
Oh, I love it. I love it. See, we're revealing all tonight. I love every bit of this. This is great. Yeah. Oh, I will ask you one more. I'll throw in a sneaky one. If you could give any bit of advice to any young bands out there, sort of to give them the best advice for a bit of trajectory in the current state of the music scene, what would it be?
Ooh. I think the first thing that comes to, I mean, there's so much you could say, but the first thing I would say to is probably something along the lines of just like staying really grounded and try your best to keep that ego in check, because I think we all have the propensity to have big egos as creative people and as musicians. I think that ego sometimes helps us do what we do. I mean, I certainly, as a front man, have many moments just before we go on stage where I think to myself, you get that imposter syndrome, or whatever crosses your mind, and sometimes you just have to switch into a bit arrogant mode and just be like, no, fuck this, we're gonna fuck them up. Let's fucking go. You know what?
Yeah,
Psych yourself
I
up
do
a
know
bit.
exactly what you mean.
You know, like so. But I think because it affects so many areas. So like we were talking earlier about recording, you want better songs, lose the ego. It comes into like relationships with the other bands, which are crucial for, I had someone ask me earlier this week, text me and said like, how do you guys organize your tours? And I use the word tours pretty lightly, but for lack of a better term. But honestly, so much of that is based on relationship with people that we have, the relationship we have with people. It wouldn't happen any other way. So it affects your relationships with other bands. It affects your relationships with venues and promoters, and they're the people that you need to be on good terms with in order to get shows. So I really think, and obviously we're young once, and probably most people will admit that when they were 20s, in their 20s in bands, they probably had massive egos. But I really think that would be something that I would say, because I think it affects so much of everything else that you do. I mean, how many bands? What's the saying? Like bands don't fail; they break up, and
Yeah.
often that's because of egos in the band.
Yeah, 100%.
Not always, fair enough. But very often it's because of egos in the band. So, that would be my advice. Would be to just be humble. Even if you're on a high after a massive show, or you've gotten a support that you really like, or you secretly paid some streaming service and you've busted 10,000 streams overnight. Whatever. Like, just be humble. I'm not perfect, and I'm not always that way either. I can understand you get excited and you want to share success, and you're on a bit of a high. But yeah, I think the importance of being humble and just talking to we were talking earlier about the guys in Redby. Like if you could say anything, like there's so much, like they obviously absolutely phenomenal musicians. Like no one even blinks an eyelid at that. But also the most humble of dudes.
Yeah. 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 So it's just like, how can you be this good and nice?
Yeah.
Can you at
I
least
can't be that
like, be
nice
a
if I
little,
actively try. Like,
yeah, can you just be a little bit of a wanker so I can like
Yeah.
just have something? No, the boys from Red B, like this, I can't have nicer things to say. And they're
No.
another band that they just age like a fine wine.
Yeah,
They just
their
got
new stuff
so
is
much.
brilliant. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And that was the quick question quarter. Thank you so much for being a good sport on that.
Yeah, no worries. None of those were quick answers, but
No, man, it's yeah, we call it the quick question quarter. It's never quick. It's never quick. It's not meant to be quick. That's why when you watch the episode when it comes out on Thursday, watch what the cutaway is and you'll understand why it's a massive joke.
sure. Yeah, okay.
But with that, we're going to go straight into our most favorite segment. It is time now for Get in the Bin.
Come on, if you want to fight,
Oh, come on then.
fight, don't...
Get in the
Are
bin.
you enjoying the weather there, mate? What? Are you enjoying the weather there?
What are you talking about?
Alrighty. Now it is time. It is time for Nolan to infuse his hand with the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't have Raf's Infinity Gauntlet behind me, so we just got to pretend. Like
Okay.
make believe.
Gotcha.
So Nolan's going to put on the Infinity Gauntlet. He's going to snap his fingers and he's going to chuck 3 things that he absolutely hates out of the music industry in the bin. What are they and why, my friend?
Sadly, I've only come up with 2 so far, and if I have to come up with a third on the spot later, I will. But I did have a bit of a think about this, and I have 2 in particular. The first one I think would be the way that streaming services currently pay artists. So I wouldn't bin streaming services because I think they've been there's pros and cons to everything, but really a band like Whisperhead would not have music out to anybody if it didn't exist. But the way that they pay artists, and I'm not even talking about the low percentage per stream like that. I mean, that's disgusting on its own. But just even separate that to a little while for a little moment. my understanding of the way that Spotify plays is that, if you as a listener, just say you just listen to one band that's your entire subscription only, and the only band you listen to is, I don't know, whoever, Deftones. Let's say you only listen to Deftones. You think that it would follow that your $12, maybe perhaps minus a bit of an admin fee, would all then go to the Deftones, right? That's who you're supporting. That's who you're listening to. Instead, what happens is it all just goes in one giant pool, and then it's based on percentage of that pool. So, like, even though I don't ever listen to Taylor Swift, she's taking a much greater proportion of my money than the Deftones are, just because she has a much larger proportion or percentage of streams. So I think that it's a massive shame that the money that fans spend for a subscription to a streaming service does not actually necessarily go to the artists that they listen to. And I think that if it was something that I could bin, it would be that method of how they distribute the payment.
That's very good, because at the end of the day, it's just subsidising the cost for Taylor, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the artists that, and I mean, this goes into the whole argument of this is why you should buy merch, and maybe, like, even though CDs are a bit redundant technology, like, buy the music, because at least that money goes into the artists' pockets. And I know how convenient Spotify is. Like, I listen to more music on YouTube probably even than I do on Spotify, because I'm a big fan of music videos. I like to watch music videos as well. But the reality, like, so it's convenient, but the reality is that money is not, not going to the artists I'm listening to.
Yeah.
A negligible amount would be. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not comfortable with that either. As far as I'm concerned, it should just go into the metal pool. That's all I really listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they should just go, X user has listened to these 8 bands. Those 8 bands get it delegated to them.
Yep, and all the ad revenue should go to them when you're listening to them, and you're doing the free service as well. I completely agree.
So that's one thing I would bin. Yeah.
What's your second one?
The second one, once again, going back to we were talking about SOMAD and the government funding, and I think one of the things that I would like to change, I wouldn't bin government funding at all, but I think that there's a bit of an element of, as soon as you want government money, like, the government's only providing money. They don't really care about your band being successful. They want to see money pass around, I suppose. Look, maybe I'm not well enough equipped to handle this, but what I really wanted to say was that government funding often, unfortunately, does not seem based exclusively on the merit of the artists. It's tied quite closely to whichever government agenda they're pushing at that moment, and I think it's and I don't want to be contentious, but you do find that money can be delegated towards certain areas that government wants to push or be seen to be pushing,
supporting, okay.
And I think that is perhaps a bit of a shame.
No, I get that. I completely understand that. No.
I don't know. That might be a bit too contentious, but
no. Look, at the end of the day, they're always going to give money to stuff which aligns with their agenda.
Yeah.
Like, and that look, and
that's right. Yeah,
it's 100%. All governments do it. Every government does it. They've been doing it for as long as there's government been around.
Yeah. So, and I think so. I guess there's pros and cons, right? Like, so the advantage is that you you get the money that otherwise you may not ever have access to. The downside can be that you, in some situations, you might be forced to compromise the artistic decisions that you make in order to appease them ticking that off.
Yeah. Yeah. It sort of ties into the whole thing where now it's like governments using anti-government songs in their campaigns.
Yeah.
And the band's getting on and going, what the hell are you doing using my song? This is like, I wrote this for you.
Yeah. So I think there's always going to be that sort of bureaucratic, sometimes, nonsense. So I think if I could just wave the flag for Dubbo and regional areas a little bit, it's eternally frustrating when the government, announces money for regional areas, but really the New South Wales government recognises regional to be basically anything outside of
Sydney.
Greater Sydney. So very often we, and if I could use one example, the Great Southern Nights funding, which, if people aren't familiar, that's government-funded music events that are supposedly meant to help original musicians put on shows. We don't see any of that money any further out west. I think the closest we got was Bathurst. And congratulations to Bathurst. There's no, but
No.
yeah, it can be frustrating when you see regional grants going to, perhaps Wollongong and the Central Coast.
Yeah.
And from our perspective, you're like, I pay taxes, and my money is, for artists. Even if Whisperhead does, I don't want to sound bitter. Even if Whisperhead, like with my SOMAD hat, not my Whisperhead hat, even if it's a shame that it just doesn't really reach sometimes maybe the people that either deserve it or perhaps really need it.
No, mate, that's a very right thing to be kind of fucking annoyed about. I'd be annoyed at that too. You're just sort of watching it get closer and closer to you, and it stops like the equivalent of that annoy the shit out of you.
Yeah. It does, it can. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So just to be clear, though, this doesn't have to just be about the industry. This can be about punters. This can be about venues. This can be about whatever you want. So have a quick think about a third one if you reckon you can think of one.
Well, look, this has probably been said by many people by now, and it's something, thankfully, Whisperhead has not come up against yet. But I'll tell you what I do think is absolute bullshit, rubbish, crap, is when venues want to take a percentage of the band's merch. I'm sure I'm not the first person to raise that.
No, you're not. I'm glad. No, keep raising it.
But that needs to be absolutely binned. I can understand in big venues where the venue is putting on the staff to manage that. I can kind of see, okay, there's an additional cost there, but I mean. But the shows that Whisperhead play, they're not putting on additional staff to manage our merch desk, So, but also, I
can't even give you decent internet to use the fucking square.
Yeah, that's right. I should say we have not played at any venues yet which has asked for a percentage of the merch take. Actually, that is not true, and I won't say who it was because it's not like one of the scene venues. It's not like the Baso. It's not Elton John's. It's not. It was an odd place to play, and their standard contract was for 10% of the merch, and we just didn't report anything. But and they never chased us up about it either, so that was fine. But yeah, I think that as I said, I can understand if the venue is putting on the staff. But the old argument is always, well, if they're taking 10% of the merch, why aren't the bands taking 10% of the drinks?
Yeah, see, you're in the right set of mind, mate. That's my number one thing.
Like if the bands are bringing the punters in,
so
yeah, that that's maybe not a very original one, but that absolutely needs to be binned. Yeah.
No,
I feel for the bigger bands. I feel for the bigger bands. I think Alpha Wolf recently got into a little bit of hot water about it. I could be mistaken about that. Who are playing at those venues where that is enforced and they just don't have a choice. Like that sucks.
Yeah, and then everyone's hammering the bands going $40 for a t-shirt. It's like, yeah, but it's like 10% of that's gone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah. And they're relying on bands are relying on merch sales and ticket sales now. Like they're not relying on album sales.
Yeah, or venues. Or venues paying them. That's the worst part about it. Like it's it's
and there are some venues out there that put money over the bar, which is great. We have played a couple where there's been like, no, they'd prefer to put the show on for free. Here's money over the bar. That's great. But yeah, it's not it's not the cash cow it was once viewed as being, in the 70s and 80s where they were selling millions of physical records.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, you could go there with 100 CDs and sell out of them if you played a good enough set
yeah, yeah,
at five,
yeah,
at $5 or $10 a pop.
yeah. That's it. Yeah,
You know, and that's what, like, that's the thing, man. Like, people don't understand. It used to be a hustle. Like when you had CDs and your merch costs could be kind of low and stuff like that. You maximum effort. But now with venues trying to take 10% cuts and the economy being the way it is at the moment, it's just turned into a fucking grind.
yeah. And I mean, I don't know all the stats on this, but the impression that I get is that really until you get to a very like almost A-list level, you're almost. It's the impression I get is that most bands they're just not making money on their tours.
No, no. But
Like they're
this
not
is
coming home with anything.
yeah. This is where if you're working and you're busy doing shows, you should have an ABN.
Yeah. Yep.
Like straight up.
Yep.
Like if you're busy, like, and I mean busy, and even if you're just making $100, $50, $200 per show, write it down, get a receipt, make sure you get all your invoices, get everything in check every time you're driving, every practice. Like, it doesn't have to be the black hole that it is if you want to make the effort and play your cards right. But the problem is, but then now you're throwing another thing into the whole work. So it's like now not only you got to be a musician and a songwriter, you got to be a social media mogul, you got to be a promoter that can make bloody Instagram videos and all this shit, and then you got to know how to be a bloody tax agent.
Yep, that's right. Yep.
And you just
There's a lot.
it just throws more and more and more and more.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
It's so it's really...
However, if anyone that was embarking on any small business venture would be in the same boat.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like music completely aside, like if you decided you were going to open up a florist shop, then you still have. Yeah, it's just part of the nature of the business now. You have to do all that yourself still anyway.
It is, but it is hard enough when like it's so much different when you're a muso though, because it's the time it takes to write the songs, the time it takes to create and then record the songs. It's like you're constantly in the negative.
Yeah.
Whereas if you sort of start your own business and stuff like that, you can. For some reason, art just seems to be especially musos.
Yep.
They're the most raped and pillaged artists out of the whole lot, because you can really bleed that whole exposure line.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And people really like to use that crap to their advantage.
Yep.
They love that word exposure, but exposure doesn't pay bills or pay for your petrol or pay for your practice or pay for your strings.
That's it. Yep.
Or all the cool gear, and it's just I hate it.
Yeah.
This is why we do this, to try and make people understand that it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's you see, and it's the funniest thing. It's like when you see the musician, you see them in their nerd state. You see them on stage in their bliss, and nothing can tear them down, and they're in their happiest moment on the planet. But you miss the last 3 weeks leading up to that.
That's 100% true. I mean, not to get too personal, but I mean, after we finished the tour in November and we were on quite a high, and then we determined we would take January off just to rest a bit, and we've all got partners and families and things, and we that's all got to be balanced, and then we would kick back on in March or April. But what that meant for me was that I spent, and we are fortunate to have a band where most of the guys are involved in one way or another. So like where I might be booking hotels and booking shows, Dylan will be making up our website. Troy will be busy working on our recording and editing, and everyone functions, which is a blessing. But I spent most of January, cold calling, emailing venues, getting knocked back from shows, logging things with APRA, all that tedious shit that I hate doing.
Mm.
Because performing is the joy.
Yeah.
But in order to do those performances, you've got to. And I remember saying to Darcy, Whisperhead's bass player, one night after practice, I was just like, I feel like my whole role for Whisperhead over this last month has been nothing but sending emails, which is not where the joy lies for me. And I don't say that to have a big whinge and woe is me. All I'm really getting at is that there's a whole lot of shit behind the scenes stuff that just has to be done. Like shows aren't just going to be handed to you, man. Like,
no, not in this day and age. Not with the market the way it is. I mean, you have a look at it. Like, you could, you could walk out the street right now. You could put a lot of it. Like, if you live in the city, you could walk out the street and just go, "Hey, can I get someone in a band to play?" And you probably get 5 people that'll turn around in a crowded room and put their hand up.
Yeah. I mean, we are. I should back that up by saying that we're now in a position, great, which is awesome, where we actually do get shows offered to us.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So and I don't say that to be braggy or anything, but I would hate if someone listened to this and was like, "What are you talking about, Nolan? We offered you a show 3 weeks ago."
No. But that's the steps. That's the steps. You start asking people for shows, and then when you gain yourself enough repertoire, people start asking you to play shows.
Yep.
And that's just you're at your stage now where you're on your second year of booking your own festival. Then you start booking your own shows, and this is just a natural progression of any band that's serious about what they do.
So we're probably at about 50-50 right now, balance between other people organising shows but asking us to play on them, or basically seeking them out and putting them on ourselves. Or we may not put them on ourselves, but like we might reach out to the venue and say, "Look, we'd love to come on this date. We've got another band interested," and then the venue, on occasion has gone, "Oh yeah, like we've got that night free. Like we've got a standard thing that we do, so you jump on the bill." But they kind of take over a lot of it from there.
Oh, that's all right.
Well, I mean, ram it down is a lot like that.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't put that show on. Lance puts that show on.
Nah, he's a legend. Can't wait for
the other volunteers.
Yeah.
So I mean, but at some stage you still got to reach out, and ask for that.
You do, and all they can do is say no, and you're just not going to play that show.
Yeah.
And if they say yes, then guess what? You got a mad show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I don't want to diminish any of those, those people that have offered us shows or the people that run shows for bands where all they basically have to do is turn up. That stuff's awesome, but I don't think you can rely on it as your growth strategy.
No, unless you find those places like Ram It Down that are consistent once a month. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that those are the pockets you got to work in. It's like you got to find those regulars where people are going to be there. They got regular people there. They just go there for the night.
Yep.
And that when I was younger, they used to have this thing called Club Link. And man, if you could get a show there, you were guaranteed to have like shitloads of people because people were just there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's more. I miss metal places like that. That's why I love Ram It Down so much. Make sure you're there next week if you're on tomorrow. Oh, when this comes out, it's Saturday, so they're on Saturday. It'll be an absolute doozy. Man, we're going to wrap this up very shortly. Let's go through some of your shows that you got coming up.
Sure.
Okay, I've got it. Let's see. So you've got Rampage upcoming. There it is.
Yep, Rampage.
Okay, you got Rampage at the station at the Hamilton Hotel.
Yep. So that's this Saturday. Well, when this comes out, that'll be like in 2 days. Yep.
And then you got Grindhead Productions. Nice, very very good. That's the Greaser of Brisbane.
Yeah, so Grindhead is supporting that whole tour. So that's Vault Hill from Melbourne.
Nice.
They're doing an East Coast run, and we're fortunate to be able to jump on all of those East Coast shows. So
I'll be at the Elton Chong one.
Yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, we've I haven't played at Elton Chong's yet, but we've heard great things, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, have you? Yeah, it's awesome. It's narrow.
Yeah,
If you want, go on the. I made a live video for Firefly at the Elton Chong's venue. If you want to go check that out, and you can get a rough guy.
Yes, we have been forewarned that the bar is considered part of the stage.
Good. I expect to see nothing less. If you don't play on there, you haven't played. If you don't hop up on the bar, you haven't played at Elton Chong's.
Yep.
And then you got Off
Yeah.
the Tracks at the Vic.
Yep. So that's an Orange show with Deprivation headlining, Infested Entrails, and Stone Sovereign. For people that aren't familiar, perhaps with I assume most of your listeners will know who Deprivation are.
Oh yeah, just saw them recently.
Played at Wacken.
Saw them at, where did I see them at? I saw them at Metal Alliance Festival at Factory Theatre.
Oh yes, yeah, yep. So the other two local to Orange, Infested Entrails are a grindcore band, and Stone Sovereign are like I don't know if you call it like battle metal or folk metal or
Okay.
Viking metal. Perhaps.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm with you.
Yeah, power metal with a theme, with a fantasy
nice,
theme.
nice. That's so big at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly has its own whole scene. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got that pirate. I think they're called Pirate Queen or something like that. That all girl pirate metal band.
I'm not familiar with that, but yeah.
Yeah, check it out.
Okay. Yep.
There's now an all female pirate metal band called. I'm pretty sure they're called Pirate Queen. They're pretty cool. We did a
Very
reaction for it. and then April 20th, the big one.
So WhisperFest, our hometown show, which is we're expecting to be extremely well attended, and it just feels like it's going to be an incredible time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, I love the fact that
a couple of
you're
others
so
get to be
busy.
announced.
Very good. So it's going to be a very busy year for WhisperHead.
Yeah, well, the first half certainly will be. So yeah, I have a bub due in June, so there will be some.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Yep, there will be some downtime. We not really sure how that's going to impact things exactly yet, but
heavily.
Yeah, heavily. Yeah. Yeah. I would like to think that maybe we would be able to still maybe do one or two shows here and there in spring, especially if they are like festivals, like
bigger.
We would love to maybe jump on something like Metal in the Mountains or Thrashville, something. But we're just gonna take it 1 month at a time. The only other thing I would say is that we are working right now. Even despite our drip feed of singles, we've probably got 2 or 3 songs being recorded currently, with the hope that while we might be out of action gig-wise, we can certainly still release singles here and there.
Yeah, good.
I would expect to have maybe 2 or 3 singles released over the second half of this year and maybe early part of next year, while we're on maybe a little bit less active show-wise.
Mate, just take the time and just enjoy the bubba.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. Take a bit of time. It'll show. Yeah, have you got any other kids?
No, this is the first for me. So,
brother,
really don't know what we're going into.
It'll change your life in the best way. It'll put the weirdest perspective, but it's all for the best. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
First and foremost, congratulations on being so busy. I cannot wait to see you guys at Elton Chong's.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
That's going to be that's just up the road, not too far away from me. So, awesome. For everyone out there, get out there, go check out WhisperHead. Seriously, go check them out on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. I'll have their links down in the video, in the description down the bottom. So, but yeah, Nolan, thank you so much for enjoying this evening with me.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me. I've had a great time. It's been awesome. Thank you.
I'm glad you did, man. I'm really glad you did. And like always, everyone, make sure you go check out Metal Ruse. Make sure you go check out our old videos. Go check out our new stuff. Go check out Beer Buddy. Go check out everything. Go check out my homies from Firefly. I wouldn't be doing my promotional bit if I didn't mention them every stream. Love those lots so much. Love them so much. They're heaps busy this year too, which means I'm very busy. So yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see you all doing so well. Make sure you go check out WhisperFest. I might have to see if I can go away in April for a day or two.
Be worth it, man. Dubbo Zoo is out here. The accommodation is not expensive. Yep.
Yeah,
Certainly make a
maybe.
weekend of it. Yep.
Maybe. Might have to drag the kids out and take them to the zoo.
Yeah.
Maybe they go to the zoo and I go to a festival.
But Whisperfest is all ages, so you can bring them.
Is
to
it?
both.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. There you go. See, that is fantastic. More of that, please.
We
That
love
is-
all ages shows. Yep. Bring those kids out, man.
Mate, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to sign off. Peace out, y'all. We will see you next week on another one. And Nolan, say bye to everyone.
Thanks everyone for listening in. Appreciate the time. Cheers.
No worries. All right, everyone. We'll see you all next week. Raph will be back with me, and you won't have to look at my ugly mug the whole time. See you later, and peace.